Howdy folks, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am your host, the Mighty Bjorn. And today for you, I have another Sprocket Community Steel video, rocking out some more vehicles from the Sprocket community, their creations, the most interesting creations that I find on the Sprocket Discord. Anyway, let's kick off today's episode with the N4B5 Super Toronto, because I guess Canadians make tanks now too. And this tank is from German Train. And it is armed with a 77mm main gun and is loosely based off of actually the Super Sherman, the Isherman, if you will, that the Israelis had. Popping some shots here. And don't get me wrong, this is the 77mm main gun here is actually rather good. I'm just rather shit. But either ways, that's what you get for being old and shit. We're going to make some good kills here. Bounced a shot there. Actually, bounced a shot off of the side of the turret, I believe. So that's that was a lucky bounce, I would say, because this thing is not really well armored. It's got armor, but nothing I'd write home to mom about, especially since I'm going up against the AMX CDC, which actually has a super high velocity 90mm main gun, which would easily cut through this thing's armor. So kicking off another one with one of German Train's creations, and this one here is a mouse. It's a Yag Mouse from List. That's List with a Y, folks. And it is nearly 200 tons. This is literally the heaviest vehicle I've ever featured in Community Steel. Let alone, this is probably the heaviest vehicle that I'm aware of within the realm of the Sprocket community in general. Not saying someone hasn't tried to make the Rat. I'm just not necessarily aware of it. But anyway, as I said, it is nearly 200 tons. It is actually very well armored. It is a thick boy. And it is armed with a 180mm main gun that's got 210mm of penetration. Why am I telling you all this? Well, you'll see here in a few seconds. Yes, folks, that's right. The Yag Mouse can't pen itself from the rear. That is a thick boy. Damn, boy, she thick. And, well, it's not very mobile either, that being said. He's got the engine mounted in the front, and I think it's a really cool, interesting design. It's definitely an original design inspired by a real tank that was a prototype. We're all aware of the Mouse, but it's actually interesting to see that someone tried to create a casemate tank destroyer version of the Mouse, which I don't believe there was any plans to ever do that. At least none are aware of, I'm aware of. Anyway, the next vehicle, another returning designer from T-Rex. We have the GT4, and this is a late war medium tank. And my God, is this thing ridiculously fast! And it's kind of got a M1 Abrams designed turret, but the hull, I'm not really familiar with what the hull could be based on. I guess you could say it could be combining the Abrams and the Merkava, and I killed myself. But it's got a 105mm gun. How about that? Yeah, as I slowly roll down the hill, dead. Because I'm old and shit. Alright, the next vehicle we have here is the LMT JS or IS 4P from Substep. Substep? Substep. God, I'm old and shit sometimes. And we got a rather thick boy here within the IS-4. What the IS-4 was a program to essentially upgrade the already existing IS-2, essentially heavily modify and upgrade the IS-2 to be an even heavier version of the IS-2. And here it is, the IS-4. It's got a 122mm main gun with 217mm of penetration. And damn, is it thick. It bounces shots like a champ. But oh my God, the gun depression is just, yeah, I can't even remotely aim the gun towards the ground. And the gun depression is so horrible. So, yes, very Russian, comrade. And it actually moves rather well, too, for such a heavy vehicle. Now, the next one is kind of a collaboration here. We have a vehicle that was done by Gobble, kind of like Goblin, and Substep. See, what he took is he took Substep's design, IS-4 design, and remodified it, kept the hull generally the same, and changed the turret into a casemate. So this is the Jsat, armed with a 147mm main gun, and it is thick, once again, very thick. It bounces lots of shots. I was even getting shot in the side and the rear, and it was bouncing shots very regularly. It's not like one of those things of it was a lucky bounce. It was reliably bouncing shots on the rear and the side from what vehicles it spawned in on me, which, yeah, the vehicles here I'm facing only have like 75mm main guns, but they're actual rather high velocity 75mm main guns that actually has rather good penetration. So, yeah, it's an interesting idea to see someone take something like the IS-4 and modify it into a casemate tank. Sort of like what we saw earlier with taking an actual mouse design and making a casemate heavy tank destroyer. We more or less have the same thing here within the Jsat. And I actually think it's a really interesting, actually rather good design. Now, it does feature from some of the same drawbacks as as most casemate tanks do, such as limited gun arc. It does have some gun depression, especially compared to the IS-4 that was created by Substep, but it's still not much to write home to mom about. And then, of course, it shoots a shell the size of Texas, which is quite pleasing when you consider the size of the holes that I'm busting into some of these vehicles, which, well, I mean, look at that. You could see the hole is massive, even from this range. The dead tank that was just in the scope a little bit ago is quite massive. And it does feature some rather good mobility, so I'll definitely give them credit for that one. Anyway, folks, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up there with today's Community Steel video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in. And have yourself a wonderful day.